Imagine a box that can make your wishes come true.
I probably don't need to imagine one because I'm pretty certain you're about to try and sell me one.
Both good ones and bad ones. A simple, elegant interface between your brain, your consciousness, your desires, and the cosmos. Does it seem unbelievable?
So far, yes.
Do you know a man died in prison for discussing this?
Well, a man died of a heart attack a week before he was due for parole after serving 7 months for contempt of court. Even then he wasn't really discussing this. The merging of his claims and the principles of this magic box appear to have happened after his death. His name was Wilhelm Reich, and I'm going to be doing a whole episode on him at some point. He's an interesting enough character in his own right.
Do you know legal judgments have been passed against those who say it works? In the United States and abroad, offices have been raided and books have literally been burned for revealing what you will learn here.
Yes, the FDA did burn a lot of Wilhelm's books back in the 1950s. It was a dick move on the side of the US government, and even the ACLU called it out as an affront to free speech, but again, it wasn't to do with radionics. I can't find any links between Wilhelm's Orgone Energy and Radionics, whose creator died in 1924, that aren't recent connections. I can only guess it's because they're both in the same area of wishy-washy pseudoscience, and it's easy to mix two ideas together when they both rely on non-falsifiable claims, and they both had shit from the FDA.
Is it good to share this knowledge? Or should this information be shrouded forever, hoarded by only a few?
So we seem to be somewhere between they persecuted Galileo so we must be right, and government suppression of amazing new technology because reasons. This is despite the fact that Galileo was persecuted by a religious inquisition.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition!
Mainly for being a heretic because his ideas opposed the religious idea of a geocentric model. Oh, and the fact that Galileo had solid reasoning and decent evidence for his claims, whereas Wilhelm didn't. He also didn't seem to enjoy scrutiny either, ordering inspectors off his land. He also refused to appear in court because he didn't accept their authority to assess his magical space energy.
It's weird in every way. A proper name eludes us, so we call it simply the Wishing Machine.
Yeah, that's the stupidest name I've ever heard, and to be honest, it looks like it was made by a high school kid. Meet Joshua P. Warren. He wants to tell you about his wishing machine. What's a wishing machine, Josh?
Now, a physical wishing machine is the type that I have used personally for years and years to improve things in my own life. But it's hard to find these things. You can't just run out to Walmart and grab one, and so I wasn't sure how I could provide this.
Walmart don't sell magical wishing machines. I'm actually genuinely surprised at that. I thought Walmart sold everything. But never mind, I'm sure you found a way to sell us one.
Then finally, I met a radionics technician who, as it turns out, is a master technician.
Oh, that's good. For a moment there, I thought he was just going to be a standard technician.
And he was able to build devices that work incredibly well. So we decided to do an experiment and start making these and making them available.
Make them available? Are you giving them away for free or are you selling them? Because I bet you're selling them, and that sounds more like a business venture than an experiment. On a side note though, what is wrong with your camera person? They are quite literally all over the shop. Did you spill some snake oil on the floor before you started filming?
When you buy a physical wishing machine from us...
So they are for sale. This is no longer experimentation, it's retail.
Now this is just a wooden box. It has 9 knobs. It has no battery. It doesn't plug into the wall. This is not powered by traditional electricity. This is a mind-powered machine. It's designed with a very special circuit inside to take your intent, to tune it for a particular wish or desire, and to transmit it. We don't know, again, exactly how this works.
You don't know how it works, but you were still able to design a device with a circuit to tune mental energy. That's amazing. That's like Apple claiming they don't know how an iPhone works, or Ford claiming they don't know how a Mustang works. But let's just assume you've managed to build this magic wishing box. How do I use it?
So let's say, for example, we have a guy named Joe. And Joe has lost his job and he doesn't have any money.
Aw, poor Joe.
The first thing we want to do is represent the concept of Joe without money. Now you can do that in many different ways. It's similar to creating a specimen for some type of a voodoo experiment. In fact, a lot of people call this techno-shamanism.
Yeah, that's not what I'd call it.
But here's one way you could represent it. If we have this piece of paper, we can write on it, Joe without money. And maybe Joe even signs his name. And then we might even take one of Joe's hairs and tape that onto it. You could put a picture of Joe. There are lots of different things that you could do to represent Joe.
So we can pretty much use anything we like. Sounds legit.
But this is the concept of Joe without money. So we're going to take this sample, this specimen, and we're going to put it on the input plate. Now the next thing we have to do is find the frequency for Joe without money. Here's where the knobs come into play. While we have this on the input plate, you would then gradually turn the first knob. The knob can go from 0 to 10. As you turn the knob, you stroke the output plate or the stick plate. Now it's a plastic surface and it feels rather smooth. But as you turn this knob, there will come a point when something weird happens. All of a sudden, this smooth surface will feel sticky, like it grabs your finger.
So I actually tried this on my desk, which has a smooth plastic coating, and sure enough, after 4 or 5 strokes of my stick plate, my finger felt like it was starting to stick. That's probably because your skin is naturally lubricated with oil, and rubbing your finger against something wipes the oil off, meaning less lubrication and increased friction.
When you get that sensation, that is the subjective feedback that indicates that you have reached the right frequency or the right number for this knob.
Cut a long story short, you repeat this stick plate action for all 9 knobs. This will give you a 9-digit number, and that's the frequency of Joe without money. We want the opposite, so you invert the frequency. As all the knobs go to 10, you then set each knob to 10 minus its current setting.
And then you're done. That's it.
That's it? Really?
You simply take the box with the specimen on it and you put it away in a nice, quiet, peaceful place. And ideally, what you desire will come true.
Isn't that just how wishing works anyway? When you chuck a penny into a fountain or blow out your birthday candles, you can make a wish that ideally will come true. So are there any limitations to this machine? Can it make me fly like Superman?
You can't make anything happen with these. There are some natural laws and limitations. If you want to fly like Superman, for example, that's probably not going to happen.
Aw, that sucks.
But if you want to do something that is within the confines of the natural laws, then this will at very least accelerate that process.
So basically, this box might make something happen that could have happened anyway.
So we're doing this experiment for a very limited time, making these physical wishing machines available to you.
It's not an experiment if you're flogging them to me.
I hope that you'll buy one. I hope that you will help us with this experiment. I think that your feedback will be fascinating.
I'd love to leave you some feedback, Josh. You still haven't told me a price anyway, so I've had to go to your website and check it out. And yeah, it's a snap at $200 for the basic model, or you can get an electric one for $300 because obviously mind power works quicker with electricity. Oh, and for another $50 you can add a light and a switch because it feels good.
And I think this will be a fantastic introduction for you into the vast and wonderful world of radionics.
You're right, this was a fantastic introduction to radionics. I'd never actually heard of it, and now it's led me down a whole series of rabbit holes I'd never even seen before. Now, if people want to spend their hard-earned cash on a magical box to grant wishes, that's their own lookout. As they say, a fool and his money are easily parted. My real issue comes from the dark side of radionics, which Joshua doesn't really allude to in this video. Its creator, Albert Abrahams, claimed that it can cure pretty much anything. He was widely criticised at the times, and his claims failed every single test put to him, and he was widely debunked. After he died, his magic boxes were investigated, and they were nothing more than basic electronic devices like radio transmitters. But to this day, people still make claims and practice healing techniques based on these principles. And there are people who will fall for the scientific-sounding pseudo-psychological technobabble, and that's when innocuous claims about granting wishes cross a line into something dangerous.